Welcome to Club Akwaaba on Muntu Bantu Digital Narrowcast. The thoughts, views, opinions expressed by the host of this narrowcast are for educational purposes only and may at times become entertaining or nonetheless serious in nature due to the topics we select and cover. We are not exposing, revealing, indicting, or telling you anything other than what's already reported by the big budget mainstream media. We look to shine the light of Baba Mungu by exposing what is done in darkness to light. Enjoy the narrowcast.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
This is Jade Phoenix Rising.
And this is your brother Silverback KONGO. This is Akwaaba, right?
Yes, episode 011, episode 11. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, family.
Yes, for those joining us today, we are excited to be back. If you were following our last Narrowcast, we had talked about um, cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
Cancel culture. It was really an intense and fun episode. If you haven't heard it, please click on it, listen, and give us a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe if you haven't. But welcome back, family. We are excited for episode 11.
Welcome back. As Jade just said, please do us an honor or do us a favor. Acknowledge us by subscribing to the Narrowcast. And also, while you're there subscribing, you should also be able to you should also, it helps. You should also just click the like button, right? And also, while you're there, perhaps after the Narrowcast, you can comment, okay, to provide a little bit more value to the Narrowcast or to add on to what we're about to talk about. Okay.
Yes.
You want to add something, Jade?
Yeah, I mean, we have some really interesting discussions here, and we're hoping that our content actually gives you something to think about because we have a lot of challenges in our society. But I think when you are able to look at things and in retrospect say, you know what, this is something that does affect my life, and it really gives me some insight, and it also can help redirect some of your energies so that you're not just it actually gives you some direction, believe it or not, because when you can identify a problem, then you can deal with it. Sometimes we just go through things and just think, oh, it's just bad luck, or oh, I'm just not having a good day. But then it's like, wait a minute, you can actually have a strategy because you can acknowledge and put in context what you're going through. And family, when we say family, I said, it's good to get advice, and it's also good to have some time of reflection, as opposed to, in our society where some people are overwhelmed and they just don't deal. that, you
Mm-hmm.
have a nice meal and you go to sleep, or you watch a good movie, you feel good and go to sleep. But if you say, you know what, I actually think today, or maybe even tomorrow, I'm going to approach life differently.
Mm-hmm.
You gain some insight, and it actually can bolster and give you some kind of courage to do things differently, kind of shift things a little bit. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's really important for us, especially if you are enlightened, empowered, encouraged, all those good stuff, to
Mm-hmm.
say, you know what, I'm going to share this information with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm going to approach life differently, because sometimes we can have a victim mentality, like, you know I came into this world and I thought I would be here and I should have been there, and I thought, I was dealt a poor hand. Some people would say the short end of the stick, depending on how you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And to say, you know what, you actually have some tools in your belt to use. And, some of the information we're sharing is actually something that you can use as a tool to give you some not only insight, but like redirection if you're in a situation where, is that famous word, is a nice word. Um, if you look it up, this is the nerd in me. Conundrum. We're in a conundrum where we just constantly do things and expect different results and then do things, and you're in a conundrum. But you want
Mm-hmm.
to step out of that. And in order to do that, you got to see where you're at and redirect your energy, your thoughts, how you use your time, what you spend your money on, that kind of thing. So again, family, our Narrowcast is to give some context to certain situations. And if it gives you value, insight, encouragement, let us know. We would love to hear from you. And we
Yeah.
thank you again for tuning in.
Yes. Share your thoughts. Share your thoughts. All
Mm-hmm.
right. If you comment on the topics that we discussed today, you would only be you would also be encouraging us in addition to anyone else who's watching the narrowcast. All right.
That's right.
So that's just the way things work. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, Jedi, I know you want to jump into the topic. I can sense it. I can feel it. So let me just slow you down just a little bit. All right. Let me slow you down.
Okay.
So let me do the quote of the day. Okay, folks, let's get to the quote of the day. Now, let me just go ahead and um, the quote of the day is very simple. I'll give you a visual in a few seconds. When you first saw the video, obviously you saw chaos coordinator. Okay, it says number one, someone who solves problems you never knew existed in ways that will blow your mind. That's us. That's the Muntu. That's the Bantu. Okay? We are these people who solve problems. Because the topic that we're going to talk about today requires a people who can solve problems. Right, Jade?
Mm-hmm. That's
Yes.
right. That's right.
Yes. Yes. Two, like a normal person, but sexier and smarter. That's who we are, family. We are a beautiful people, melanated people.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's right.
Even through trauma, we stand tall and we stand strong. Okay. The only thing that we need to do, we need to improve, really, family, is our unity. We've got to be able to come together a little bit more stronger. We got to be. That is the one thing I would say that has kept us back this long because of the unity, the lack of unity. All right. But let me not digress. Three, a person that is always right. That one, I've got to say, um, if you're confident, it would come across as if you're someone who's always right. but no one is always right. But, however, if you're confident, right, it would come across as if you are a person who's always right. If you're confident, right? So if you allow yourself, if you're humble and you can hear others' point of view, yes, that makes you right. That makes you a right person, right? Being able to learn from others. So with that, let me give you a visual, family. So this way you can get this beautiful mug.
That's right.
It's a beautiful
And I
mug.
love the color. I
All
love the
right,
color.
here we go. Drums. We're gonna get there, family. We're gonna get sound effects very soon. But right now we're just working with what we got. We're working with what we got. All right, boom.
There it is.
There she goes. There she goes. Beautiful. What do you call this? This is what you call a tumbler, right? Tumbler.
Yeah.
Right. It's a tumbler. It's got the nutritional facts in the back. Right? Hardworking. All right. Dedication, passion, caring, determination, regret. Regret?
Zero regrets.
0%.
Zero regrets.
Yeah.
Zero sleep.
Yep. Sleep is 0%. Caffeine, 150%. All right. Those are the nutritional. Oh, I think I forgot one. Unrivaled skill. Okay. 500%. Excuse me. Hardworking, 1000%. Unrivaled skill, 500%. I'm sorry, hardworking, 1000%. I was off. Dedication, 500%. Passion, 300%. Caring, 300%. Determination, I would say that's 1000% for me. Okay, all right. Regret, 0%. Sleep, 0%. That should be. We should have some percent on sleep, Jade. We can't.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's hard to function on coffee with zero sleep.
Yeah.
It's the worst kind of energy.
Yeah. We don't
It
want.
makes you get jittery.
Yeah. First of all, if you're drinking coffee and you're not sleeping, oh my goodness, that's problematic. All right. So
Dangerous. Very dangerous too.
dangerous. All right. So, family, get yourself a mug. And by getting yourself a mug, link is in the description. You support us. All right. So, let's get back to the topic. 1 second,
Yes.
family. All right. So, today's topic is critical race theory. Okay, just listen to that. Listen to that title. Critical race theory. So Jade, my beautiful friend, what is critical race theory?
Okay, the glasses come on.
Okay.
Okay. So, again, we did cancel culture, just kind of give a little context. And this is what I love to do. We're going to do somewhat of the flip side of cancel culture, because cancel culture, they're trying to censor you, censor a people, and make it seem like whatever you say has to be kosher. And then, of course, the cancel culture idea is to also kind of dumb down and quiet certain people. But critical race theory it's actually really disgusting. And I'll tell you, I'm going to give you the definition first, and I'm going to tell you why it's really gross. Okay, critical race theory is a group of concepts such as an idea that a race is a sociological rather than a biological designation and that racism pervades society and is fostered and perpetuated by a legal system used for examining the relationship between race and the laws and the legal institutions of a country, especially in the United States. Okay, and this is according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So what does that mean? Well, basically, critical race theory is racism. But because the word theory is in there, it's a concept of race, as if race doesn't exist biologically. It's the concept that a race, in theory, is being discussed or treated a certain way. So it's like something is your opinion of something that is happening to you or your people. An opinion. An
Right.
opinion. It's like an illusion. This is not really happening. That's how you feel as a person, or, you know, and I'm just putting it lightly, but when we dig into this, see if what I'm saying may be true. Okay? But again, according to the dictionary, it says it's a group of concepts such as the idea that race is a sociological rather than a biological designation, and that racism pervades society and is fostered and perpetuated by the legal system. So it's used to examine relationships between race and law. So they're
Yeah,
using it
yeah.
as a measurement of, is it this or that, or we're not, it can be a tool to measure situations, but it could also be a talking point. You know, this is just a, let's talk about it moment. Like,
Yeah.
it's not really happening, but we're going to document how you feel, you know? But we're going to delve into this a little bit more because, there are different perspectives on this topic. It doesn't have to be how I, explained it from my point of view, if it is really mine, because I don't really think this way. But yeah, there's a lot of talk about what they called critical race theory, and it is a disruptor. And to some, it's noise, and to others, this is another cliche tacked on word that is supposed to be what's that? Remember how we had the word um it's something. It's supposed to be like a trendy word. Like how we had the Wesley Snipes thing, like, I'm going to cancel you. Like it's a word that just sticks in your head, and it is supposed to be a trendy word, but in reality, it's just a word masking what we would have understood it to be racism. The talk is racism, but then they found a prettier word to use over that word, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense, Jade. These are masters of words, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
before we can literally, it's like before I can literally cause harm to you, I have to subjugate you first, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got to demean you. I've got to demonize you. Okay, you've got to first insult, right? Because this is how when before Hitler uh, performed that genocide on the Ish people, he first had to what they call it name calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to devalue the people. You have to insult. Okay, so that's how they operate. Now in this case, right? It's more of reverse for me. What do I mean? These are the same peoples whose ancestors. I'm sorry, Jade. I'm starting heavy, okay? Because
And that's okay.
there's no any other
These
way.
topics are usually are, so it's hard to be
All
light.
right,
It's
right?
hard to make light of it.
Yeah. So these are the because do you think a black person came up with that term, that terminology?
No, no.
Of course not. So these are the people whose ancestors committed these crimes. Okay? Rape, hangings, killings, slavery. Okay? These are the people's ancestors. So they're trying to find a way to get out of because, it's like this. I'll put it in simple terms. Immunity. They're looking for immunity. Okay? You're not going to get immunity unless you go around the world and erase people's minds. Okay? Because this is the attempt. The attempt is we're trying to erase your memory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We don't want your kids and our kids to know what really happened. Because, we can't live with that. We consider ourselves good people. We came with the Bible, we came on ships, right? We stole a little bit of your people, we put them on ships, right? They can't handle the truth, as one of their own would say. Because that movie, right? Remember the movie?
Yes, yes.
Right? You can't handle the truth.
And mhm. And also to just just kind of using some simple examples. Okay, we could say, all right, well, you know, someone would argue and say, well, Martin Luther King came and you guys have your civil rights. You got what you wanted. The schools are integrated. It's no longer segregated. And you all can go to school together with whites and other races. You can work now along side by side with um, with all races, and you can you don't have to sit in the back of the bus. But does racism still exist? Yes.
Yes, it
Every time you
does.
fill out an application, they want to know your race. Every time you go to the hospital, they want
Mm-hmm.
to know your race. Every
Mm-hmm.
time you apply for a loan, they want to know everything, including practically that and your thumbprint. Okay, and we are thoroughly examined before anyone approves of us for anything.
That's right.
And then, of course, there's the census. The census wants to know demographically where everyone is living, how
Mm-hmm.
much they earn, what is your race. So the racism issue is very much alive. And then the weirdest thing is that they want to make it seem like it doesn't exist,
Mm-hmm.
that it's in theory in our minds, in theory, like what an insult to our intellect, that it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Racism is just a thought, it's just a feeling, it's just a fear. No, it is embedded in everything that we do, everything you touch, every school you go to, everywhere you work. It is the fabric of America. It's a
Yes.
fabric. It's a thread. The thread of racism runs through everything that we do
Mm-hmm.
because the structure of this country is based on the backs of slaves,
Mm-hmm.
and a structure that no one, guys, I'm it's like I didn't even read anything yet, but I'm just saying it.
Hey,
Um,
listen, man. Listen, you lay it out, Jay. Lay it out.
okay, the
Lay
the
it out.
fear, the fear is that they don't want no one to unravel the thread so the garments fall apart.
Mm.
They want to keep the threads in place
Mm-hmm.
because they are cloaked with us. We are necessary to hold the garment together.
Mm.
Okay? So using the critical race theory is saying, no, 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 no. Racism doesn't exist. You know, if you have a child in school, they attempted to do Black History Month for a minute. I'm gonna call it a minute.
Well, I
And then
mean,
it was pulled out,
mm-hmm.
and then now it's activism. Well, if the Blacks want to protest their rights, then guess who else needs to have their rights heard too? So instead of it being Black History Month, which would have highlighted a race, now they want to just dumb it down and say, you know what? This is the month of activism. The LGBTQ has rights, the Blacks have rights, you know, Earth Day, the world has rights. We have to recycle. Now we're just going to
Kumbaya.
lump everything. Yes, we're going to lump global warming. Let's throw it all in there.
Yeah.
And so now it's like Black History Week or Day.
Mm-hmm.
If you're lucky, the children are not given the opportunity to know history in schools like we learned when we were kids, and even still that wasn't accurate. So this so-called theory, it's like
An
a
insult.
subtitle. It's a blurb. It's like um you know it's like it's not even history. They don't want to tell the truth.
That's right.
They do not want to reveal the details, so they're going to call it critical race theory as if it was an opinion.
The
If you
audacity.
look at it this way, you might feel like you're oppressed, but in reality, what? End the sentence for me, please. I don't know what they're going to say, but the context of racism is being replaced by the word theory,
Theory. That's
as if this
dangerous.
is just a as if this is just a history lecture, a lecture, you
Mm-hmm.
know, a class. Let's intellectualize, you know, the concept as if people really didn't die, as if people were not enslaved, as if people were not lynched, as if people were never raped, you know, as children were not separated from their families and sold, you know, as if this was a theory is an insult.
Yeah.
But there's two sides to the critical race theory. Some people are for it and people are against it. And we're going to share why the pros and cons of critical race theory today.
Mm. By the way, Jade, I'm only going to stick to the pros.
Okay,
Well,
that's good.
because it's this term is insulting for me. Right? It's just insulting, and I wonder if my people feel the same way I feel. So if you do, please comment on it. Okay, I only going to look at it from one perspective. The reason being is because every time you get every time, and I'm going to push back on what you said earlier, Jade. You said that they only touched on a little bit on Black history. They never
Mm-hmm.
have, never, ever have. Okay, because every time they talk about Black history, they're speaking from uh, the weak point of view. Okay? They give you a false history. The reason changes came through this country is because our people were fighting back. Okay? Our people just didn't lay down and just, oh, we are slaves and we're waiting for the master to decide on giving us freedom. No, 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 no. Okay? There were plenty of slaves who took their heads off their masters. Okay? Poison, whatever. Our people fought back. And they say, you know what? We got to relent. Oh, we got to relent these people. They're giving it to us. Okay? So the history that they're giving to the kids, it was fake history anyway. Okay? What they teach in school is for our kids to be submissive. And that's what they
Mm-hmm.
like. That's what they like.
Of course they do. Hmm.
Okay? But go ahead, my sister. I'll be nice.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so I'm going to share some information just to, like we gave a little overview of the dictionary's uh, description, but the breakdown, of some of the context of what critical race theory does is this. Okay, this is one perspective. Okay, critical race theory essentially forces legal scholars to ask questions. For example, why does the possession of less expensive drugs carry a higher jail sentence than expensive drugs?
Mm,
Or could this have anything to do with the fact that more people of color are in prison? So, critical race theory challenges people to look at facts and data and question whether race is a role in why some people get higher sentences than others. So that's one of the pros of critical race theory is if it's used as a tool to question the justice system, so-called justice system,
mm,
and look at whether race is an issue, why certain people are incarcerated longer than others for something that should have been not the punishment shouldn't have been as extended as it is.
mm-hmm.
Okay?
It doesn't meet the it doesn't meet the requirement of the punishment that was supposed to be applied, right? It doesn't.
Yes,
There
yes.
are levels
So
to crime to criminality. There's levels.
yeah, yeah, like somebody would have gotten a year and then a black person would have gotten 5 years or 10 years
Mm-hmm.
for something that is a lesser crime or like
Mm-hmm.
considered a lesser crime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's another way critical race theory is and can be applied. Um, so it challenges people to inquire about legal codification of racism in America.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for example, if we look at the US history and we're trying to reveal how racial oppression shaped America, we're going to look at traditionally how racism has played a role in manifesting itself and interacting within society, within individuals, within groups of how our country was formed. Looking at facts, we can see how each situation plays a role in establishing the fabric of this country. Okay. But not just racism, how it became codified into law.
Mm.
Okay. So we know that for those who have studied American history, they know how the North and the South had issues with slavery, and then people did not want to abolish slavery. And people went up north to escape the South because the South wanted to maintain it. And there was freedom. The slaves were being given their freedom up north, so that a lot of slaves went north. But again, we're talking about law and racism and freedom and those who were for or against it. So there's laws that were passed in either direction. Okay. So yes, racism did affect the fabric of our law in America, but it hasn't completely been abolished. It just has been what you call it, masqueraded in other ways.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's in plain sight, but it's hidden. It's not so obvious that we're slaves. We're not in shackles. We're not picking cotton in the fields, but we still work under weird labor conditions. We're still underpaid in terms of, the inflation goes up, rent goes up, but our salaries don't. We don't get rent, we don't get raises to help us keep up with inflation. So there's different ways that we're still oppressed without having to be in fields picking cotton. we still work. We're still somewhat enslaved to the system, but it's not the same way it was, but it's still a different form of slavery. Okay, anyway, and
Yeah.
here's another example of critical race theory. Um, so another example would be, maybe in schools, some schools are questioning the books on how it's, and this goes hand in hand with cancel culture, when they're starting to question the textbooks, whether they're revealing too much or too little about race. So then they just get rid of the books. They're saying, oh, these books have too much racial information. So
Connotation.
and right and yes, and instead of teaching the truth, now they just don't they're not tiptoeing around it. They're not even teaching it.
Yeah.
So that goes hand in hand with the cancel culture of let's not talk about it at all. It doesn't exist. This is a theory. We don't want to touch it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to offend. We don't want to offend. So then they don't even teach it. So that's cancel culture with critical race theory happening at the same time in the schools, where they
Mm.
avoid the issue because they don't want to stir any trouble amongst races.
Well, I mean, amongst who? Which races? The white races?
And yes, yeah, it's true. But it makes who
they,
come uncomfortable.
they don't want to
It
stir.
makes
They don't want to stir. Well, Jade, I just think that being on the wrong side of history eventually catches up, right? If you're on the wrong side of history, it's going to eventually catch up with you. There's that word karma, right? Karma is going to eventually.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, the fear that they've always had was, oh, we're gonna get them back. Oh yes, I don't want Negroes get on their platform and say, oh, we know, yes, we are kind people, but karma is still going to be applied, right? Punishment, it doesn't have to be the same way you punished us. It can be in another way.
mm-hmm,
You understand? So yeah, there is
mm-hmm.
there is going to be karma. So the fear that they have, oh yeah, make no mistake, my friend, it's coming back. Energy, the same energy that you applied, it's going to come back to you. But it may not come the way you perceive it, but it's coming back. All right? And the other thing is this, they don't want their kids to know just how nasty they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah,
So,
they don't want them to they don't want them to know how they were the oppressors.
yes,
And what, just poverty just happened, that we just came and just decided to be oppressed, that we just, this is just poor working conditions. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to explain what is in theory we were just in our minds oppressed,
Mm.
as if physical beatings and lynchings was in our mind. Like, I don't even know how they could even
It was,
I don't know.
oh, Jade, it was all in your mind. It was in your mind, you know? We're white and we're white and we say so. Okay?
Yeah,
It
so
was
dragging a
all,
boy behind a car is in our minds.
yeah,
Burning people and hanging them from the trees is in our mind.
it was all in your
Like they
mind.
just fell. They fell.
Yeah, you guys, it's a theory, remember? It's all made up. It's just a theory, It's just a theory. It's like it's made up story.
No, no.
So
It's we can go on and on about different contexts of why people want to avoid it, but it is a topic. We don't like the term,
mm-hmm,
but the reality of racism is very real.
very
And
real.
the issue is they want to put a band-aid on it and try
Mm-hmm.
to neaten it up and make it pretty and say, look at the package. This is just, we can evaluate it. they want to far remove themselves from the harm, the torture, and everything. I mean, can we do this with the Holocaust? Can we neaten up what Hitler just did?
Oh
Can we
no,
make this
no.
sound like it's a theory?
Oh, don't say it's a
No,
theory. Oh no, no, no. They're not gonna report it in their news medias. They're not gonna put it in their books because they control the books in their schools. Okay,
hmm
that would not be allowed. It would not be tolerated. My
no.
goodness, there's gonna be
They
war.
we can't apply this concept and this behavior and this theory to the Jews.
Oh my
We cannot
goodness.
do this to them.
Oh
But
no,
for
no,
some
no.
reason,
Absolutely
they want to
not.
politicize this and say this is okay to do with the blacks. This is
Yes,
okay with them. Their
yes,
oppression is just in their head.
yes, yes, yes. So why don't we make just going to vote a theory? What
Mm.
let's just make it a theory. Like, let me theorize that you gave me $1 million. Let's theorize that. Just give us
In theory.
give us give no, not me, but my brothers and sisters who came through this transatlantic slavery trade. Give them their what, 20 million, 20 million every year. Okay? Just give them 20 million because you have insulted their ancestors. How about that? Theorize on that one. It's
Yeah,
insulting.
well, yeah, and I would also like to say, in theory, they think they're the dominant ones. In theory, they think that they're the superior ones.
That's
When
why.
in actuality, they really wanted and needed someone to oppress, to be strong, to be
Hey, wow.
to rise above.
Mm-hmm.
They had to put someone else down to rise above.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can go on, but the truth is that they're trying to use a word to neaten up a very ugly and dark history, and and then try to pass it as a talking point, and far remove themselves or races from the responsibility, the accountability, the rawness, the evil that has been done in this country and abroad to Black people, people of
Wow.
color.
Wow, Jade, you just said something very, very powerful, Jade. You said that um they had to oppress us for them to feel what? To feel powerful, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those for those who looked at the transatlantic slavery to just be a business, right? Because sometimes even I also looked at it that way. Always, oh yeah, these people were. It was a way for them to build their wealth and to have. There's more. It's more than that. It's more than that. Because if it was just about economics, they could have just gone back to the continent and struck up a deal, right? And struck up a deal and worked fairly, like the way civilized human beings would do. We're getting
Mm-hmm.
resource there. You guys get a percentage. It's a fair trade. It would have been a
Mm-hmm.
fair trade, but there was demonic side to it. There's an attachment. There's like an emotional attachment to it because you're physically raping people, killing our kids, slicing our women's bodies, and taking our babies and stomping on our children's heads. This was violence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it goes beyond just business.
Mm-hmm.
These people were. It's
Yeah.
it's, it's pure wickedness. Pure wickedness. There's a
Yes.
there's a hatred. It goes deep.
And what's really odd, I mean, if we are going to keep this in context of racism and oppression and rights, let's talk about rights too. What has been done to Blacks and people of color? There is no punishment that could, like let's go back to the person who did, maybe they sold drugs or used a weapon and they were thrown in the jail cell
Mm-hmm.
for 10 years or 15 years, whereas someone who wasn't Black would have
Mm-hmm.
gotten 1 year or some kind of misdemeanor, do some public cleanup or something, or go take a anger management class. Like the punishment of their crime is way lighter. But how, if we were to punish our oppressors, there's nothing that can possibly, there's no jail sentence long enough. There's nothing that could actually make what they've done right.
Yeah, the basic.
There's no way, there's no balance of this is what, in terms of reparation, there's no way you can actually fix it or punish them. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Like it's
there,
years and years and years and years of oppressive behavior on so many levels.
yeah. There's no equal ramification. There's no equal. There wouldn't be no equal reimbursement in this particular transaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they have done to us, there is nothing that can equate to what they have done to our people.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's no amount of money that can be
there
paid.
is not amount of
There's not
money.
enough land. There's not enough land. I'm sorry, even written in textbooks, nothing could ever
Yeah,
um
equate.
justify or fix or equate, yeah,
Yes,
to what they've done.
yes. There's nothing they can present to rectify what they have done to our people. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
no amount of money. Okay, because it's beyond just the finance, the psychological, and there is a spiritual implication. And this
Mm-hmm.
is a whole different topic altogether because we know what
Yeah.
our Father, okay, we know what our Father is going to do to these people. So it will be better for them. They will, yes, they will come and act. They will come and ask for forgiveness. They will come because the scripture says it. Okay? And this we know they will come and ask for forgiveness. But the punishment they're going to receive that they have received from us, because Jade, they have received punishment from us. This is what they were
The
changes. Okay? They
but
were
the craziest thing is that they don't even want to acknowledge the truth.
no, no,
It's
it's
one thing to say sorry, but they
mm-hmm,
really don't want to look at it. They don't
mm-hmm,
want to hear it. They
mm-hmm.
don't want to believe it. They don't want to acknowledge its truth. And
Yeah.
then they have to come up with a way to say, you know what, we really don't want to deal with it, but with kitty gloves, we're gonna call
Yeah.
it something else,
Yeah, we're gonna pretend.
and we're gonna handle this in a different way so as not to excite people. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want to hurt their feelings or make
Mm-hmm.
them feel like they're being targeted when
Mm-hmm.
we always are. We always are. Anyone pulled over in a car fears for their life, especially if they didn't do anything wrong. You know, people feel threatened, but it's not just that. It's racism. The threat of racism runs so deep that it's like this is a slap in the face saying we're just going to call it critical race theory, as if this never really happened, as if it's a figment of our imagination.
Yeah, let's theorize. Let's theorize what happened, what took place. What do we theorize
Hmm.
on all the wars that they don't theorize when they talk about their history. There's no theory there. They're very
No,
vocal and proud,
they're
you
very
know?
proud.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're very
Yeah.
proud. And then there's another side that, we, yeah, 6 million of our people were killed. Feel sorry for us and don't you ever forget it. Don't you ever forget it. Six
Yeah.
million of our people. 6 million exactly. But they don't tell you that there were also black people
Of course.
who went through those chambers.
Yeah, of
Okay?
course.
They don't tell you
Yeah,
that.
but and when they recruit for the army is mostly people of color because they offer them scholarships for
Yeah.
schools and to offer them money, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you can remain poor or you
Mm-hmm.
can enlist and have a great life.
No,
We'll
what
cover the expenses for your family and housing, and you can travel. Yes, you can travel.
no
You know?
what I'm saying is that through the Jewish genocide in Germany, there weren't only Jews who were put in those chambers. So let's theorize on that.
Mm.
Okay? There were black people who were put in those chambers as well. You see? Now those white Jews, they got their quote unquote reparation. Our people are still looking for our reparation.
Mm-hmm.
So, family, those of us who are in the diaspora, if you are in the on the islands, if you're in England, Russia, please start asking for reparations. Speak these things out loud. Okay? I know we're talking about critical race theory, but yeah, if you try to, that's just a way of reducing the things that they've done to us, right? So if they want to minimize it, they want to whitewash it. It's a theory. Let's just theorize. Let's not talk about facts. Let's just theorize. Okay? Maybe we got on ships and we went to the continent of Africa, right? That big space, that big continent that has a massive land that holds so much resources. Let's just say, we went there, we killed people, we slaughtered, and to this day we're still getting resources from that land by force. By the way, if they don't want to comply, we use our military to force people, presidents,
True.
leaders
Yeah.
to comply.
Yeah.
Let's theorize on that. It's just a theory, right? I mean, it's just a theory, Jade. It's not real. That they go to the continent, they steal, they rape, they still do these things. Let's just theorize that these people are wicked. By theory, Caucasians are wicked. How about that? That's just a theory. What do you think about that theory, Jade?
I think in terms of wickedness, I think arrogance and I think what is wicked is the thought that there are people who are more supreme than others when we're all human beings. I
Yeah.
don't think okay, this is going to sound silly, but in the animal kingdom, they understand that there is, a hierarchy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They'll say they say the lion is the king of the jungle, and
Mm-hmm.
everything falls down the line, or you could say the food chain down to the ant or the
Mm-hmm.
amoeba or even smaller. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
there's a food chain, there's a line, right? In the human race, there's no a different type of, if they want to call us apes. I don't want to use that word because we're not apes,
Hey,
but
hey, hey, hey.
we're
Are you talking about the silverback?
no, I'm not talking about the silverback.
Listen.
But
I wear a crown, my friend. I wear a crown.
yes, I know you wear a crown.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
but we're not talking about you right now, okay? So, but I'm just saying, in terms of human race,
Mm-hmm.
we were supposed to, when God created the world, we are supposed to be responsible for the earth, the land, animals, everything in it. Everything He
Mm-hmm.
said that was good. We as a human race had a responsibility to take care of the world and, of course, each other. So, somewhere between the instructions in Genesis to
Mm-hmm.
now, someone lost the concept of their obedience to God in withholding this,
Mm-hmm.
because someone decided to say, I'm above everyone and everything, and I don't need you or anyone but us. It became cliquish. And now we have to, going back to the Willie Lynch letter, using this in context, we're going to
Yes.
separate everything and everyone and categorize them and the hair, the fine hair, coarse hair, big lips, big butt, big breast, dark, super dark, ultra dark, ebony dark, whatever. And just subcategorize people as if they were the not dominant, not important, not intelligent, and the list goes on and on and on, where their so-called critical race theory was the only theory of how we should conduct society. we're going to restructure and structure society in a way that we will remain superior and everyone is inferior because of their race. Their race. So we're categorized, subcategorized, and basically not even considered human, treated worse than the Willie Lynch letter describes it in detail, that we're lower than the donkeys. We're lower than the animals, that we're just, you know, we're property to be owned, used, and beaten and directed as to what needs to be done in this world. You know, like disposable. And it still exists in different ways. And
Yeah.
then to look at this, the Willie Lynch letter, which became their Bible, of how to structure, you know, how to entrap, to manipulate, to uh, 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 to control the slaves, is very much a part of how our society is still structured, because they want to maintain this fabric that holds this country together. They said we cannot be supreme if people are not under you. They have to fall in place so that we can remain on top. So the fear of being displaced from the top is that reason why they must keep us at the bottom. And
Yeah.
so acknowledging the truth will just expose the wickedness, almost like, you know, the Wizard of Oz. It's like when you find out that the wizard had no power to begin with, when you
Mm-hmm.
realize all that noise was just noise, when you
Mm-hmm.
realize that the person you feared the most really never had power,
Mm-hmm. That's right.
and it's like all this time we need to recognize, where did they get all this wealth? How did they amass all this land? How did they amass all this fortune and popularity? It's because of suppression. It's because of racism. And so it's not a theory. If we actually look at the facts, and even, you know, through time, what has been stolen from us, intellectual property. When
Mm-hmm.
we in our last Narrowcast, we talked about music and even dance, how that is being copied, and it's like the original artists and writers are never accredited or
Acknowledged.
paid,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledged,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, like it was just stolen. You
Yeah.
know,
They take your energy. That's
they take your energy, they take your ideas, that you go
mm-hmm.
missing.
Mm-hmm.
If you should challenge them and say, I was the original author of, or I'm the
Mm-hmm.
original writer or composer of, and
Screenwriter.
and it's like, who are you? Who are
Mm-hmm.
you?
I'm
And they're
the
so used to doing this.
mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, like you say, the deeper you go into and put it this way, this is where it's I think if they just say race theory, it would have left a lot of room for a discussion, for interpretation, right? To try to you would try to understand where they're coming from. What is your viewpoint? Okay, if they
Hmm.
just say race theory, you would definitely it would be very very much be academical, right? It would be within the framework of academics when you look at race theory, but when they put the word critical, it's like a catcall. This is where they start speaking code through their media. Okay, this is critical. Okay, this is critical. Hey, listen up, Caucasians, get in line. This is critical. Okay, fellow
Hmm.
Caucasians, fellow Caucasoids, pay attention. This is critical. Critical race theory. That word critical, it gives it a sting. It's like the other word that you didn't like. What was the word? What was the what do you call it? Culture or the what was it? What was the last
Cancel culture.
cancel culture? The fact that the word you see, they use words that they want to bypass your conscious mind. to go directly to your subconscious. Okay? So this whole terminology, critical race theory, it's a word that invokes some kinds of feelings when you hear it. Critical race theory to a person who has been through the white supremacist oppression system, okay, oppressive system. When you hear that, it rubs you the wrong way. Okay? Now, for a person who enjoys the benefits of a white supremacist system, this right here is a little message. Let's get in line, guys. Let's get to work. Okay? It's like they call in their race soldiers, like they're gathering all these race soldiers. Let's be strategic in how we attack these people. This is how these people operate. They're always speaking in code.
Here's the other aspect of critical race theory that is interesting. Okay, they came up with the concept, and this is supposed to be the kitty gloves of stepping around the actual truth of the word racism, right? But it's a play of the word racism. You know, like it's just a topic and not a treatment or a behavior or a crime. Racism. Okay? But then the other part of it is that they create it, but then they also want to retract it at the same time. Because here's an example, okay? I'm going to read directly from this article. It's the website is called Brookings.edu. It's an article that was written in November 2021, and the title is called "Why Are States Banning Critical Race Theory?" And the author, Alexandra Gibbons, and Rayshawn Ray said, to understand critical race theory has become a flashpoint in culture, and it is important to understand what it is and what it is not. Opponents fear that critical race theory admonishes all white people for being oppressors while classifying all Black people as being hopelessly oppressed victims. And these fears have spurred the school boards and state legislators from Tennessee to Idaho to ban teachings about racism in classrooms. However, there is a fundamental problem. These narratives about CRT are gross exaggerations of the theoretical framework. To the broad brush that is being applied to CRT is puzzling to academics, including the scholars who coined and advanced the framework. Okay, so what am I trying to say? What is it trying to say? Okay, people are fearful of critical race theory. So they said, okay, this goes back to the cancel culture. We don't want to talk about racism in school, so we're going to use a broad brush and say anything that sounds like or hints something that is a racist comment or statement or truth. We can't allow it. We can't teach it. We're going to avoid it in the classroom. So critical race theory with cancel culture has basically canceled talking about the truth. It's so bad. Yes, racism is so bad. We can't even talk about it. We won't even read about it. It's the see no evil, hear no evil. I heard something about it, about racism, but we are not allowed, like the song, we don't talk about Bruno. We are not allowed to talk about this because this is a racially incensed comment that is going to stir up some feelings amongst races. Therefore, we have to remove this from the curriculum. So the truth is not being spoken of because now it's under the umbrella of, oh, this is a CRT issue.
Well,
this is a
yes. But you see how they frame things. You see how how slick at the mouth they are. You know, 1 minute they tell you, oh, listen, they create a phrase an insulting phrase at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then even if you look in the article you just read, they talk
Mm-hmm.
about scholars. They say a
Mm-hmm.
scholar of what?
Mm-hmm.
You,
But then
you,
it becomes a law.
you,
But now it becomes
you-
a law. It goes from a
exactly.
concept to
Eh,
law.
yes.
They're not allowed to. The books are banned. People are
CRT.
not allowed to teach it. Yes,
Yeah.
CRT. Okay, it says,
CRT.
however, there is a fundamental problem. The narratives about CRT are gross exaggerations of the theoretical framework, and the broad brush is being applied to CRT is puzzling to the academics, including the scholars who coined the framework. So they coined it. It's like a trademark. It's not just a word. It's not just a thought or a point of view. Now it's a law of, because this is a CRT topic or issue, we have to ban these books. We have to remove this from the curricula. We can't talk about it. Teachers are not allowed to teach it. Teach what? The truth? Again, our history books cannot even be accurate because they're going to make it seem like, oh, this is too sensitive. We cannot tell the truth because it's too sensitive a topic. And this is a CRT topic and issue, therefore, we cannot allow it in the classroom. So the teachers are banned from basically speaking the truth. So, how is it that we can ever get the history right if we can't even, they don't want us to talk about the history, and they don't want the whites as well as the blacks to know the history. And that's why it's very important for us to know our history, to get access to books, articles, I'm talking pictures, articles, everything that you can to maintain our history, because they're trying to erase it from even discussions. And then,
Well,
of course, we're in a digital world where, they want to control the narrative. Because
the,
again, history is how they want to define it themselves. They want to write it themselves and and
well,
whitewash the past.
well, I can understand why, Jade. I can understand why. If you've committed
Mm-hmm.
crimes and if you've raped people, black people, if you've done all these wicked things, yeah, I can see why they would want to, lie, find a way to, um, uh, e- what do you call it, hide, okay, to hide the
Mm-hmm.
truth. So I can understand, but it's still the insult here is okay. If you're talking to immoral people, they may not understand. If you're talking to dummies, right? If you're talking to dummies, because it seems like the insult is for the word that's used, critical race theory.
Mm-hmm.
It's first of all, it's just a theory, okay? And then it's critical. It's critical that you don't find out, okay? It's critical for our kids. It's critical. It's not critical for us because we know that you're hiding history. You've
Mm-hmm.
always tampered with history. So it's not critical for us. It's critical for you. It's critical for you because you want to hide the truth, right? So they,
Mm-hmm.
they bring they bring up this stupid term, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we're gonna go to the next, which is 3. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
3. Why is critical race theory an issue? It's an issue
Mm-hmm.
because it's an insult.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's an insult to our intelligence. It's an insult to what took place. Okay, so let's okay. For those of you who we may have people who are not melanated. Okay, who are not black. We may have people who are listening to this particular discussion. Let's say Spanish here is, Spanish history is a theory. Okay? Let's say all white history is a theory. Let's say Jewish genocide was a theory. Watch how they'll galvanize, collect money, and go after these people. Okay? And first of all, the people who are saying it, they are most likely Jewish. Okay? They're most likely Jewish. Okay? I'm alleging. Those people who came up with this critical race theory, most likely. Okay? So,
Yeah, but yeah, this is more of the whitewashing. This is more of, how
yes.
they use the media to circle or circumvent an issue that's very
It's
brutal, very raw,
it's
very
obvious.
evil.
It's an obvious
It's
issue,
obvious.
right?
You can't sugarcoat. This is murder. This is genocide. This
Yeah.
is straight up racism and genocide.
Yeah.
But they want to use the term. So, but then they don't want the responsibility, and they don't want it's so black and white, literally,
Mm-hmm.
that they can't avoid it. But the only way to divert and the attention is to make light of it by using a word that doesn't seem as threatening. So I want to read just a little bit, because this is where we're at section the third part, where it says
Mm.
what you know our point, getting to our point in it, like, why is critical race theory an issue?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to continue in the article.
Okay.
I'm just going to read it. It says CRT does not attribute racism to white people as individuals or to an entire group of people, but, which I disagree, simply put, critical race theory states that U.S. social constitutions and social institutions, example, the criminal justice system, education system, labor market, housing market, and healthcare system, are laced with racism, embedded in the laws, regulations, rules, and procedures that lead to differential outcomes by race. Sociologists and other scholars have long needed that racism can exist without racists.
What?
Well, because that's what they said.
Go ahead,
It
Jade.
can racism can exist. This is what they're claiming, that racism is autonomous. They're trying to say that it just exists without the racist. It's so embedded that it's not necessarily a person, but it's a system, and not the people oppressing the people. It's the system that oppresses the people. So this is another way of deflecting. It's not a people, it's the system that's oppressing the people. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
gun. It's like
Mm-hmm.
the person who shot the gun didn't shoot and kill the person. It's the gun that did it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's one of those examples
Yeah.
where it's not the
I
people,
didn't do it.
it's the system.
The knife did this. I didn't stab this person.
Yes.
It was the knife.
Yeah.
The knife
Yeah,
took
the system.
the knife took over. The knife took over it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not the killer, but the system is a killer. Okay,
Yeah.
so they're saying this is racism that exists without the racist.
Mm.
However, many Americans are not able to separate their individual identity from an American, from the social institutions that govern us. These people perceive themselves as the system.
Mm.
Consequently, they interpret calling social institutions racist and calling them racist personally. It speaks on how normative racial ideology is to American identity, that some people just cannot separate the two. There are also people who may recognize America's racist past, but have bought into the false narrative that the U.S. is now equitable democracy. They're simply unwilling to remove the blind spot, obscuring the fact that America is still not great for everyone. So scholars and activists who discuss critical race theory are not arguing that white people living now are to blame for what happened in the past, what they did in the past. They're saying that white people living now have a moral responsibility to do something about how racism still impacts all of our lives today. So
Yes.
the policies, so the policies attempting to suffocate this much needed national conversation are an obstacle to the pursuit of equitable democracy.
So Jade, are you still? So the first moral obligation they should do is gather the funds, okay, for all the times that our brothers and sisters directly who came through the transatlantic slavery gather the funds that their grandfathers, grandmothers worked for free, okay? Come up with a math because there's been a few people who came up with a figure and give them and pay them reparation. That's the first that's the first thing you can do. That's the first thing you can do. Okay? And then you can now go through the current system, not the past, because you still have to pay for the past. Okay? Why do you have to pay for the past? Because you're still benefiting from now. Your people are still
Yeah.
living a life that's lavish. Okay, while our people who are still trying to dig themselves out of the hole. So what are they talking about? See, I bet you the person who wrote the article is a white woman, right? It's got to be a white woman.
It's a white and a black person that wrote this article.
Oh, she's a coon. That's a coon right there. Fool. Because I wouldn't sit down with I wouldn't sit down with that person and write this stupid article.
Well, but here's the thing though, going back to the threads of America, right? It would not benefit if we call it the system or the oppressor, or if we call it the white race. It is not in their benefit to fix the problem
Of
because they
course.
benefit from the problem. So
Yes.
if we look in context and say, okay, first we had slavery, now we freed them, but then now they have no job. And if they would have had a job if they stayed with their slave masters. They had shelter, they had food, they had a job, if you want to call picking cotton a job, right? So
Yeah.
then now you freed them, and now they either, if they can acquire land, they're a homeowner, they can have a business. But if not, then here comes the system of, okay, so we have all these people who need work, but then they're free. So then we're going to give them a job. And then the system, it perpetuates in different ways. So everything,
Mm-hmm.
like now with unemployment,
Mm-hmm.
the conundrums of the system. You get your benefits, but then you can't afford the living wage. We don't get paid a living wage to be able to be free of the system. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like slavery. Again, you get everybody with or without a college degree, minorities
Mm-hmm.
hands down, is going to get minimum wage, whether you have a degree or not. It's
Yeah.
if you're very fortunate to become a surgeon, a lawyer, a doctor, a nurse, that you'll break free of that minimum wage,
Mm-hmm.
not only mentality, but treatment. All people of color are going to get minimum wage. And then they're going to make you feel like you should be grateful to accept it because this is generous of you because you may or may not have a degree. You
Yeah.
should accept it. But meanwhile, that is not enough to pay rent. It's not living wage. It's minimum wage.
Yeah.
So
Well.
so then if you accept help, I'm going to put it in quotes,
Mm-hmm.
then now you're a leech. Now you're draining the system. It's us that it's like we're the lazy ones.
Pick
But
up.
then they're the one who created it. They get
Mm-hmm.
millions of dollars to give us the pittance to
Mm-hmm.
to get what should be God given. Everyone should be able to eat. Nobody should be homeless. Everyone should be able to travel. In my opinion, everyone should travel. Everyone should go. I mean, everyone benefits if we could all enjoy this world. But because of the structure, there's oppression, suppression, depression,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course recession and inflation. All the issues,
Issues.
all the
Yeah.
issues, all the issues, and it's all structured
Mm-hmm.
chaos.
Yes.
Structured chaos in which they capitalize.
Yes.
And then they have the nerve to throw it back in our face as if it's our fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's not our fault. We didn't structure America this way. This
Yeah.
is how they've created the problem and
Yeah.
maintain the framework. But then if we should challenge it and say, let's call it for what it is, This is
Yeah.
murder, this is racism, this is genocide. And now it's like, oh no, you
Mm-hmm.
just said a taboo word.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolutely unacceptable.
It's
We
critical.
cannot, this is critical. Yes, this is critical talk. It's
Mm-hmm.
too deep. And then now we're the bad guy for
Mm-hmm.
bringing it up. But if they actually used critical race theory in the sense of let's take a deep dive and see how many millions of people were enslaved, how many people, like even now with if we look at
No,
at,
no,
at, at
no,
how
no. I'm gonna
mm,
stop. I'm gonna stop you right there, Jade. You
mm,
can't give him that either, because every
the
time
numbers.
you can't. No, you can't even give them the ability to. So, 'cause what you're saying is the way this particular term would have been appropriate to be utilized if they went by the academic, right? If they went from the academic angle, right? Is that what you're saying? You're saying that it would,
If we were to analyze facts, how
right?
many people are thrown in jail for X amount of whatever? How many
Yeah,
people are unjustly, pulled over or like, I mean, we'll just look at the facts and the
right,
race. Just
right,
like,
right,
this blacks versus Asians. Like if we were actually to graph this out
right. So you
with
you you
facts.
you're talking about the current day for
Yes,
if
current
if
day,
if they
current
if
day.
they use that terminology for the, say for example, for like you
To
said,
show that
for
racism plays a role in
yes,
in the oppression.
yeah, in their system, right?
Yes,
If
in
it
their system as
and
it exists today.
exactly. So then it would have been applicable if they utilized that terminology for their current
Yes,
system. But what they
yes,
did
to
was,
show that it's corrupt.
yes, yes. Okay, I guess that's a pro, right? Is that a pro?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
pro.
it
Yeah.
would be a pro, but they
Yeah.
wouldn't want to do that because now they just want to dance around the subject
Yeah.
and they don't want to reveal that it is racism.
Right,
They don't
right.
want to say yes, this is racism.
Right. So now you can't theorize something that's already happened. You understand?
Hmm.
So see, if they were talking about a current day, it would be today going forward. Yes, we can use this
Hmm.
terminology. But if you use that word for something that happened already, that's an insult. Okay?
Hmm. Yes, they
That
consider it an insult.
those are fighting words. You understand? And this is
Hmm.
and this is how they start. And this is how you know you're dealing with a demon. When someone who can diminish the things that you've done that's been that has been done to you, or the things that you're doing. When you can diminish, devalue the progress, okay, the history of our people, if you can devalue it, then you're going to devalue everything going forward in this current day. You understand what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So
Hmm.
if these people come and they're talking this nonsense, for me that's fighting words. Now there's a lot of people who can hear that and oh yeah, okay, let's just say no, no, no. For me, I am very, very sensitive when it comes to these demons. Okay, that's demonic.
Yeah. But yeah, and there's just so many ways that they keep they're keeping people oppressed. And they don't want to talk about it. They don't want the facts to be known. So that's why it's a theory. They don't want the actual numbers.
Yeah, they want to be immune. They want to be immune for what's. Yeah, it's you're
Hmm.
you're gonna get what you deserve. Okay,
Hmm.
whether in this lifetime or when the Father says, or you'll get it. You're gonna get it. Okay, you're gonna get it. You people gonna get it. I don't like when black people are like, we are very peaceful. No, yeah, we are peaceful people. All right. But our ancestors just didn't lay down and like, no, 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 no. The problem is this: they don't want our kids to know that our ancestors just didn't lay down and were just they just weren't submissive. They were rebellion after rebellion, rebellion after rebellion. Okay, the South wanted to keep slavery. The North didn't care about it so much because these people were Democrats. Okay, they were liberals. For them, that was like, oh yeah, we're good people. They like to pretend. Those people with the South was not like that. The South was all about trying to keep control. This way it was causing a faction. So they after they are quote unquote and they didn't give us, they didn't free us. Okay, it was to rebellion after rebellion after rebellion. So let's not play games.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they want to keep continuing. Oh, let's theorize. Yeah, you can theorize all you want. Keep theorizing.
Yeah, but they theorize, but they also polarize the issue because now it becomes the Democrats view it this certain way and the Republicans feel a certain way, and then they're going to have activists that are going to say, well, this has no this is kind of piggybacking on how most families feel about the LGBTQ curricula. This is the other argument saying, oh, we don't want CRT theory in our schools because it has no place in our schools. So they're going to, instead of teaching the truth, now it's the theory, now it's an issue, now it's a political agenda. And then they're like, okay, stop distracting the students and just let them learn, right? So they're going to use the same kind of argument saying, okay, well, you shouldn't teach critical race theory in schools because this is too radical. This is going to tear the children apart. So then they're fearing that the truth is too much for the kids to handle.
Which
So then
kids?
this is why they're justifying why we shouldn't talk about racism or genocide in schools. They're saying
Yeah,
this is too heavy.
yeah.
So then it becomes a debate whether we should touch on the subject at all.
Yeah.
But then again, well, how do we dance around the issue that this is a part of our history?
Well, Jade. Now let's now close it. Now, okay. That's how do we solve? Okay, that's what.
How do we solve it?
Yes. How do we solve this problem? Okay. All right. So now, if they want to if they want to teach critical race theory, let them teach it to their kids. No problem. But our kids are not going to be taught critical race theory. Okay? If you're a person of color and you're teaching your kids critical race theory, you, my friend, are, how can I put it? What's the nice way? What's the nicest way? You, my friend, are a fool. Okay? You are a fool, you are a moron. All right? If you apply the nonsense, that's insult. That's like me cursing your great grandmother. You see what I'm saying, Jade? That's like me cursing your great grandmother, like saying some stupid nonsense. All right, and then expecting me to sit down and just listen to your nonsense. No, I'm gonna crumble my fist. I'm gonna put my hand in a what do you call it? I'm gonna form a fist, and then there's gonna be punishment. Okay, we can't allow this nonsense.
Well, this is my take on how we can solve the problem. Know your history.
Yeah.
Because with ignorance, you can't fight something that you don't know. You have to be in the know. And unfortunately, and I've shared this before, I myself, growing up in this country, our history was very, some schools have it better. I'm not speaking for the whole US. It's just sometimes there's a disparagement in terms of what schools, in terms of books, because back in the day, we actually used textbooks. Now we have the internet, where you can do your research. But, mind you, if the book was printed in in the 70s or 80s, and there's updates to information, and the school is still working with books printed 20, 30 years ago, there's a whole lot more information that could have been included, but just wasn't included at the time. And the curricula is very mild, if put it that way. You know, it is really up to us to do our research, to do our own due diligence, to learn more. You know, we're here in this country, but what is it prohibiting you from learning about African culture? What's prohibiting you from learning about kings and queens and laws beyond your zip code? and
Mm-hmm.
and expanding your mind and your understanding of this world, and not just going for what is being presented to you in your school, or maybe just on TV. Let's say you're not into politics and you just rely on the news and you get the weather and local news. It's like your mind is local minded, and some people would say narrow-minded, but I would say local-minded, because you're only concerned about issues that pertain to you. You're not thinking about the past. You don't know what's going on in the future. You don't know what other countries are doing. You're just local-minded, right? I don't want to use the word narrow-minded because that's insulting. I'm not trying to insult anyone. But, sometimes we are focused on ourselves. We're focused on our family. You focus on your job. You're getting your bills paid. You're trying to maintain that balance of home life, but you're not looking at the framework and saying, wait a minute, what kind of education is my child getting? Like, get involved, understand where's that world U.S. history map. We used to see maps in schools. I don't see them anymore. The kids
Mm.
are not even learning about the world. They're barely even learning about their own country. And so you have to learn the truth about you, yourself, your history. You have to teach your children, because it's not being taught in schools. They're not teaching them right. And as you learned with the CRT coined phrase, it's become a theory, as if our people don't matter. Yes, we matter, and there's a truth that is not being told, and we need to preserve it, and we need to pass it on, so that this is not a figment of our imagination. Just like the Jews today cannot say that it was a theory that Hitler just, of his opinion, disliked a certain people. No, he went beyond that. He was trying
Mm-hmm.
to eradicate all of them and
Mm-hmm.
anyone who loved them. And this cannot be hands down ignored. And what we're going through today, and I wish other races that have gone through something similar, but no one has gotten it to the extent that we still are today.
Yeah, they have
They
never.
and they themselves, and I'm sorry to say this, Jews, if you recognize oppression and know it for what it is, how can you condone it? How can you approve it? How can you be a part of the system or create and perpetuate the system if you are one of the entities that has the corporations and the laws and the degrees to continue to maintain another race in the system that you just escaped? So that this is making you a hypocrite. But again, I'm not going to just blame a race. The system itself is in place. It's a it is a machine that is working for races that have created it. It
Jade,
continues, yes.
you say, how can you create the system that was not created by black people?
No, I'm talking about the system that exists today that
Mm,
continues to perpetuate the evil of racism. This is the well-greased wheel that
mm,
keeps spinning
mm,
and creating and perpetuating the suppression.
mm,
Okay, so here's my point, because it sounds like, maybe I'm losing someone.
mm.
the
No,
the
no.
point I'm trying to make is that the system does exist, and for those who are smart enough and wise enough, or have experienced racism themselves, the system, if you can recognize it for what it is the reason why we still have the struggle and the turmoil today. That this is not a theory, this is true. This is actually happening. But for us as a people who are oppressed, we need to understand and recognize the oppression. We need to understand this is not a figment of imagination. We have to educate ourselves and our children the truth about where we came from, understand our history because it's not being taught right in schools. And we need to expand our mind and our understanding of the world because we're not limited to what is actually happening in our zip code. We have rights. We have the right to know, and we have a right to challenge um, our the system. So this is racism. This is not okay. It's racism in the job, it's racism in the schools, it's racism in the system, the so-called legal system, where it's like, okay, this person gets fined and thrown in jail for 20 years, and this one gets 2. Racism. No, you can't tell me. And we just went through this. Didn't we just Silverback? Didn't we just talk about this? The Marine that killed Neely
Yeah, of course.
because he serves our country. This is the American boy. Now he's a hero, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just straight up murder. Who can choke out somebody and hold them down for almost 5 minutes and be
Mm-hmm.
called a hero?
Yeah. By
But only in this country where they can do that, where they're gonna say he was the hero.
yeah, a system of a people who don't believe that there is racism. The people that will call the system that they have in place or the things that they have done through history, they will call it critical race theory.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's the place we live in. It's
Mm-hmm.
a system where if I lived, like, let me play the devil's advocate for a second. Say I'm in middle America, I'm a white boy, and everybody around me, I live in towns, okay? There's a lot of pockets in the South where there are no black people, okay? There are no black people around. The way they have designed the system after what do you call it? After this after our brothers and sisters were after it was mandated in their law that slavery was over, all right, most of our people left the South and they went further north because they thought that, the Northerners didn't really warrant too much into slavery, but they had another form of slavery. Okay, their form of slavery was more hidden, while the South
Mm-hmm.
tried to remain the same way that it was from infancy, from when this country was incorporated. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to keep the same methods of oppression. The North wanted to apply a different method of oppression, a method that they continue to use till today. Okay, especially for those Negroes who like to, quote unquote, vote, go out and vote. Why are you participating in something that's not benefiting you? It's not giving you anything in
Mm-hmm.
return.
Mm-hmm.
Why participate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but anyway, um, um, for those, for a person who lives in the South who have no black people around them, this particular quote unquote critical race theory, it will make sense to them if they're not being educated as well in their schools, right? If they don't, if they have no way of it's funny, Jay, when I was in school, I'm gonna kind of like digress for a second. When I was in
Mm-hmm.
school, you can tell when I went to school, I can tell when I had a roommate who's white, who when they paired us up, and they always did that, by the way, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
they never just allow black people to be, to have 2 black people. No, they always try to make where they had to pair a white person with a black person. All right. So I can always tell what a person was like who had no idea about what blackness is, or the black
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like I remember the first time I had a white roommate. I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He was like, the ceiling." I was like, "Oh, okay." He's at the ceiling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an old dumb joke though.
But Jade,
The sky. No, they used to say the sky. They
I
used to say the sky.
yeah, I was like, "What's up, man?" He was like, "Oh, and this," and I thought he was joking, but he was serious. You see, he couldn't relate. He couldn't relate because guess what? Most of black people, when the quote unquote when they were when it was legislated for our people, when they were I hate to say free because we weren't freed. Black people were not freed. Okay, we fought for it, right? So basically, the majority of the people when they left the plantation, now they had to go and fend for themselves. A majority of the people went to the north for work, okay? And then later on, they strategically realized, you know what? It's better for us to have black folks in cities so we can they can target. They know exactly, they made it where if people wanted education, okay, yeah, they moved them to cities. They made a lot of people go to cities, all right? So it was a strategic, okay? With these people, it's never just, by chance. No. The reason it's a white supremacy system is because they have to have, everything has to line up. Okay? They don't ask you for your name, your age when you go for jobs for nothing. Okay? Wherever you go, you're being documented. This experiment, the slavery experiment continued. Okay, it's being applied, is even being applied on some of their own people, but don't get it twisted. It's always applied for the oppression of black people. It was never, you understand? So if you have a system and it's well coordinated, okay, and they know where you are at all times, yes, it's an oppression. It's oppressive.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also. And the oppression is also on a genetic level too, because
many levels,
with the
all
medicines,
all levels.
I mean, even products that we use with soap and hair products, it's like it's good for one person, but it damages the other person's hair.
Yeah.
On many levels, it's destructive.
Yeah.
But for those who benefit, they're wearing rose-colored glasses. They
Yeah.
don't see and experience it the way we do because
Yeah.
it benefits them, and it benefits them so much so that they don't want to take those rose-colored glasses off to
Yeah.
see the truth. It
Yeah.
is too painful for them to see, oh, we actually are responsible for death and murder. We're actually responsible for homelessness, mental health issues. Are we responsible for them? And again, I'm not trying to use it as we're playing victims. We're talking about facts. We're talking about a system that is actually oppressing people. We're not talking about feeling like a victim. No, it's oppressive systems. And the ignorance, and you said it well, Silverback. Some people in little towns that are not getting the full news, maybe even in their own towns, they're not even learning the truth. But they know of it, but they don't know of it in detail because, just being racist is like, they're unified and we're supreme and we're the right and everyone is wrong. And it's like, you gotta, if we looked at the system itself and morality, like these are godless people. I'm sorry to say it,
Yes.
godless. If we look at this and say, honestly, are we honoring God's will? Going back to Genesis, are we really taking care of this world and each other? No.
No.
Are we really caring for each other, loving one another as He challenged us to do so? No. And is this system oppressing the people? Yes. Are people who created the system oppressing people? Yes. Are people guilty of murder? I'm going to call it as it is, murder.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah,
so is our so-called legal system showing impartiality? Yes.
of course.
When I say, it's like there's favoritism.
Yeah,
This person gets a lighter sentence because they're rich. This person, oh, they committed a crime. Oh, they get to do house arrest, but the rest are locked up for life.
yeah.
Guilty until proven innocent, or innocent until proven guilty. Which one?
Hmm. And,
And then, oh, we just want to close the case and move on to the next. Whether they're guilty or not. Oh, they're black. They look like someone who could be the guilty one. Let them figure it out. Lock
mhm.
them up. Let them try to fight the system and prove their innocence.
Yeah,
And they may be totally innocent.
of course.
There's so many degrees in which we have suffered.
Very often they are.
Excuse me.
Very often they are.
Yes.
So,
So if we were to use critical race theory and actually look at data to prove that yes, in black and white in data, this is proven that perhaps this judge or this lawyer is racist. If we looked at data to say the schools are unfairly treating black children, or maybe even the education, like the equality of the equality and inequality in the schools to prove that this is racism. Why do these students get a poor curricula? When I say poor, teach them to let's stick to the basics: reading, writing, and arithmetic. But everything is politically agenda. It has a political agenda, so we have to push. Well, we got to do the LGBTQ lesson in there, and then the kids are so distracted because they're worried about, am I gay now that I've looked at these images? Am I gay now because I looked at him or looked at her or held her hand or touched somebody by accident? Am I
mm,
gay now because I had a thought? And the children are questioning their gender when they
mm,
really are there to read and write. Like,
hmm.
who brought you to school to get confused?
Yeah, and kids,
Who's talking about? You should be talking about sex at age 5,
yeah,
6. I didn't send you to school for that.
yeah,
But again, and I only mention this because in the affluent schools, they're not trying to confuse the kids.
of course not.
In the affluent schools, they have a really solid curricula.
Of
The
course.
kids are really using technology.
Well,
They
Jade,
really are focused on,
Jade,
you know,
I'm going to stop you
what?
because that's a different topic that we're going to cover very, very soon. All right, very, very
Yes.
shortly, very, very shortly. Um, the thing is, I mean, critical race theory. Okay, and I'm sorry I had to cut you off because Jade, because you're gonna give them information on the next topic, and I don't want you to give them.
Sure,
I don't
sure,
want
no
I don't
problem.
want you to go right into the next topic because that's what we're gonna cover next, family. We're gonna cover the next topic that we're gonna cover. It's gonna be on the school system. Okay, so
Hmm.
I just didn't want you to give them too much because we want to cover
Yeah.
that on the next topic. Um,
Hmm.
but in conclusion, for me, the way we can solve this critical race theory is very, very simple. Okay? El Aj El Malik Shibaz, aka Malcolm X, said, "A fool is one who sends his kids to be taught by the enemy." Okay? The person
Hmm.
who sends his kids to be taught by the enemy is the fool. Okay? We have to wake up, family. We have to wake up as a people. All right? And then we have to be a people that we have to understand these people it's dismissive. For me, it's insulting. It's how you see how you felt about the other word, cancel culture? That's how I feel.
Yes. Yeah.
This is how I feel about this word. It's insulting. For me, this is fighting words. Okay?
Hmm.
The people that went, our ancestors who came through the transatlantic slavery, came into this world, all right? into this country and all over the world, whether it's in Brazil or everywhere. Okay, and for those of us who on the continent, is similar. They can call it whatever, colonialism, nonsense. It's the same thing. It's slavery.
The Caribbeans.
Okay, it's the same thing. And this is where they get a lot of our people confused. By the way, this colonialism, same thing. You were slave, same thing. Okay, so we can't dismiss our history as a people. You can't dismiss it, and they cannot devalue what our people went through. Okay, because if it was the other way around, they won't be able to survive. Okay, they'll be completely eradicated, erased. Okay, then we'll be saying critical race theory. Yeah, that's a theory. That's a theory. Those people never existed, but we are still here. And we'll never, ever, there aren't enough chemical warfare. There aren't enough weapons in the world. I don't care, AI, there aren't enough robots. You can design whatever you can do to try to eradicate us. It's impossible. You demons will never do it. Okay? So take your little critical race theory, go teach your kids, because our kids will never be taught that. I'm done. You can.
We have to stick to the truth. We have to stick to the truth. Stick to the facts. Learn it. Remember it. Pass it on. That's it. And then also to put it in writing. Write books. People need to start documenting the history. Document the truth. We need to not be silent, because if they're dictating the narratives, they're writing the curriculums, they're writing the books, they're writing the articles, they're releasing their perspectives, their theories, then they want that to be truth. But it's not the truth. It's not even a hint of the truth. It's more whitewashing of the past and more veiling of the truth. Yes, they want it to be invisible. Going back to the threads, it's like we forget, no, the whole garment of this country is stitched together with the thread of racism. It's all, what they've used to build the empires that they are dominating. But, truth be told, stick to the truth, stick to the facts, learn it, see the truth, know the truth, and teach your children so that they know the truth as well. But thank you so much, family, for joining us in this Narrowcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking this journey and trying to understand this so-called theory and understand that this so-called cancel culture, this whitewashing of the narratives that we're experiencing is not a figment of our imagination.
No.
But it's more of the same, and more of a tainting and a dumbing down of the truth that is and should be told, and that we have to safeguard our understanding and our mindset, as well as the children, from the falseness that continues to perpetuate in our society. Thank you so much for joining us in today's Narrowcast.
Thank you. May the Father bless you. May the wisdom, the peace of our Father be upon you. May you grow in numbers. May you multiply. Let's have a lot of kids. Okay? Let's bring wealth to our families. Let's bring light to our families. Let's love our children. Let's love ourselves. Let's love our brothers and sisters. Okay, let's support one another. Let's be the people that the Father has called us to be. Ingeta.
Yes.
Ingeta.
Ingeta.
Peace.